So we got something a little bit different for you guys today. I was on lunch today and I was just eating, hanging out in the break room, and like any Sigma male, I was sitting in there wondering what I was going to do next on Classic World of Warcraft and what I was going to accomplish that evening. Well, my thoughts quickly spun out of control and I started thinking about AI and kind of what AI thought of Classic WoW compared to retail WoW. So I did what any sane adult would do, and I went and found a chat bot. In this case, I'll call him Classic Andy. I asked him, what is your perspective of Classic WoW versus retail WoW in the perspective of a Classic Andy? I have a sneaking suspicion of what they're going to talk about, but not the full details. But let's take a look.
All right, gather round, kiddos, and let me give you a piece of my mind. Remember Classic World of Warcraft? Of course you do, because it was the Mona Lisa of MMORPGs. Now we've got retail WoW, or as I like to call it, Fisher Price's My First MMORPG. First up, leveling.
Okay, so yeah, it kind of is, right? The Fisher Price of MMORPGs. It's very babyish, very babied down compared to classic, very gritty, very macho, we like to say. Everybody talks about the Mets and Arts days, and I definitely recall those very fondly. In this case, we're down to love and passion and Anduin and tears. So that's where we're at. Fisher Price.
Back in Classic, every ding was a cause for celebration, a battle scar, a story for the grandkids. Now, leveling in retail feels like you're on one of those moving walkways at the airport. Why walk when you can stand and glide, right? You can practically sneeze your way to max level. And let's talk gear.
Hey, you could actually buy your way to max level. So, man, he didn't even bring that up. But yeah, you can buy your way to max level, minus 10 levels. And then when you get there, grab a token and you'll have some gold for your pockets as well. So, yeah, leveling is definitely not what it used to be. In Classic, leveling was a feature and not just like a hindrance, essentially. So when you level in Classic, I feel like something that's interesting about it is every time you level, it feels impactful because gear is not as abundant as it is in retail WoW. So when you get that one talent point, that boosted talent point gives you so much value because you don't have a lot of greens. You don't. If you have a lot of blues, then amazing. Until you get like really deep into Classic, right? And it's just gear is very spotty. So when you level up, it means more because that's some of the only power you're going to get for quite some time, depending on the situation.
In Classic, getting an epic item was like finding the Holy Grail. You'd strut around Orgrimmar or Stormwind, and people would practically throw rose petals at your feet. Retail? Everyone's drowning in purples. It's like Oprah's giving them away. You get an epic, and you get an epic. Everyone gets an epic. Where's the fun in that? Gold and...
Yeah, no, 100%. That's what I was just saying. So, the gear, right? It's 100% an issue, in my opinion, in retail WoW. It's going past epics now. Everybody's getting legendaries. You get a legendary, you get a legendary. And they're kind of just like everything's losing its meaning, right? You can do Mythic Plus and get the best gear instantaneously. Obviously, they changed that recently, which was a good change, but even so, you can basically get close to the best gear doing Mythic Plus, which you could argue is like, a good thing, but it's overabundant. That's the thing is it's more. There's always more in retail WoW, and it becomes this overflowing amount of gear that lessens the experience because you get to the finish point a lot faster. And then you have nothing to do. Everybody is the same and nobody is special. In Classic, you see a guy with, some blue boots on or blue shoulders. That guy, is big dickin', you invite him to the group. He's known on the server. Everybody knows that guy that has all the best gear. It adds value to it. It's less abundant, and scarcity makes for, something that increases value overall, right? So
Classic. Ah, the sweet pain. It felt like trying to pay rent in New York on a barista's salary. Now, in retail, They're throwing gold at you like you're on some Azerothian game show. Congratulations, you logged in today. Here's 5,000 gold. Traveling in Classic was an experience.
Yeah, true. Gold. I mean, everybody knows that. I think WoW, retail WoW, lost all of its integrity when it started selling the WoW token. Any speck of respect that I had for retail kind of vanished when they started offering the WoW token. And, a lot of people didn't like that. They didn't like it when they added it to Classic, Wrath of the Lich King, and stuff like that either, because it imbalances, a system that's supposed to be imbalanced. There's supposed to be a large disparity. Items are supposed to be hard to buy because there should be scarcity, right? I mean, gold shouldn't be so plentiful. It's a simple business term: supply and demand. The supply is completely exponential to where it used to be. And that's because Blizzard basically admitted defeat. They said, you know what, if you're going to buy gold, just buy it from us, which, you could argue is a business move on their end, sure, but it ruins the integrity of the game. There's no world where that adds value to the players that already subscribe to the game, because you shouldn't be able to buy potions and elixirs and food buffs and anything that you want at any single time. It removes the value of all things. It's literally taking inflation and basically printing money. If everything, is worthless, then nothing has meaning. You know what I'm saying? So in Classic, when you bought your first mount, you didn't even get it at level 40. God, some people didn't even get it at level 60 if they spent too much gold on, whatever. It added so much more meaning and value to such littler things. So everything felt like an achievement. It felt like the grind was worth something, and in the end you were rewarded. When you bought all of your food buffs, all of your elixirs, well, I mean, not even bought, but once you got them, right, and once you had plentiful stock of them, you felt fulfilled, because that's like that's stuff you don't have to do to raid or whatever the case is. It added value to these menial items is what I'm trying to say. So
Traveling in Classic was an experience. You'd trek miles on foot, get ganked by a rogue, revive, then get ganked by the same rogue. Good times. Retail, teleports, portals, and flying mounts everywhere. It's like everyone got a cheat code and the world became one big fast travel point. Now, the community.
Yeah, so, okay, this one I'm so on. Traveling, definitely, it's not, like, it's different, right? It's a lot faster in Retail WoW because, like you said, there is a bunch of portals, there's a bunch of different outlets to get to places fast. I like dragon riding. I think that's a fun mechanic that they added. I think it's a very cool thing. I don't know, like, about you guys, but I still hate getting on a griffin and taking, like, the scenic route across Azeroth. I think, like, I just hate clicking it. I mean, I guess you could call it go get a snack time or something, but it is kind of boring to me. I mean, it was just one of the things we dealt with in Classic. And I guess you could argue that, it also added value to when you finally got a mount, because you were so much more grateful that you didn't have to use griffins as much as possible. But I think that did add, like, something to it when people, like, always used the flight masters or had to, because you'd see people in the little outskirts towns and things like that, because this is how people had to travel. They had no other option. But I'd be lying if I said I'm not a baby and accustomed to the nice teleports and things like that in Dragonflight and Retail WoW, right?
Classic forged bonds that could withstand Ragnaros' fire. Retail? Half the time you group with someone, and they're quieter than a mime at a library. No soul, no camaraderie, just soulless automatons chasing the next shiny thing. Look, I get it. Games evolve.
Yeah, okay, so I think he's talking, like, just about the community, right? So the community is undeniably much better in Classic World of Warcraft. I think we can all agree that. There's no contest. It's not even close. Retail WoW has become, in my opinion, an instanced mess, right? So if anybody has played Phantasy Star online, it kind of reminds me of that now, where everything is instanced and everything is kind of disjointed, and you party up and then meet inside of a swirly circle, right? In Classic WoW, the world was the dungeon. Yes, it had, dungeons obviously, but that's what I mean is like you could just I've never gotten so many more party invites than when I play classic WoW. You just meet random people. Some of my best friends, are just random people that invited me way back in the day. That's just how it is. That's how it worked out. And bar none, classic had one of the best communities like I've ever played in an MMO. It is something about it. Maybe it was just because MMOs were popping off at the time and people were new to them. But the sense of community, this experience is absolutely almost unrecreatable, unless it's like within the bounds of classic WoW.
But turning the Sistine Chapel of gaming into a coloring book with crayons? Come on. For those who know the glory of classic, everything else just feels like diet soda. All fizz, no flavor.
All fizz, no flavor. True. Retail WoW is basically a flat Diet Coke. That's where we're at with it. No flavor. Just basically syrupy water. Trash. Yeah, super good video from the AI. Makes a lot of good points. Definitely sounds like a classic Andy. 10 out of 10. Would do it again. Let me know what you guys think in the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I appreciate you.